So I think tying my race, class, and gender intersectionality um, pieces into my actual thesis is important to note here because we can talk about the similarities between Irene and Claire like all day, but at the end of the day, they are very, very, very similar because whether they are in the same class now, um, they experience what it's like to be in a class as an African American female. So, although Claire is living with a white man and has a totally different like class structure, well, before she passed or died anyway, we could see the way in which she lived completely separate from, her past black life. Because of course, as a child, she may have grown up totally different, different lifestyle, location. That social transformation was probably a very big part of her life. And I think acknowledging that is very important. So the difference between Claire and Irene there is that Irene doesn't live that way. She has an African American husband, sorry, and two African American sons. So her life is kind of revolving around everyone staying safe, like being aware of what's happening in the media, in the newspapers, and, you know, having that consciousness of, being white and black at the same time, technically, is, moving back and forth. It's really important to note because although they live different class lives now, I'm sure they had very similar class lives as children. The other part of that is, I guess, the gender aspect. Of course, they're both females, but, they both view motherhood in different ways, but also have, the same aspect of being a mother that's a part of their lives. So I think noting that Claire didn't really feel any specific sympathy towards being a parent or seeing the importance in that kind of shows the truth in maybe what her childhood was like. I mean, we can maybe infer that the only reason she would have these ideas is because someone maybe told her this or showed her this in some kind of way, maybe not as a child, but in some form or fashion. And then the difference between, how serious and in love Claire is with her sons, like she has a real affection for them, of course, because they're her sons, but her take on motherhood is so drastically different that it's almost like shocking. It's almost like a culture shock, I guess. Maybe to some people because they're like, wow, like you are passing, but you have two black sons. You still show affection for them. How can you not hate them? Stuff like that is really important to note, I think.